Hey, single over 30-year, I'm Shana Schutte, and I help single over 30 women hear the words marry me. All right, so this week I'm going to talk about long distance dating. It's a question that keeps coming up in the single over 30 Facebook community, and it's a question that I had when I was single. Should you long distance date or not? And I'm going to specifically talk about a question that I received from a single over 30 woman who was saying, Shana, should I long distance date? All right, stay tuned. All right, so some time ago, I received a question from a single woman who said to me, hey, Shana, I'm online dating and I'm not really sure. I really love where I live. I love my community. I love being near my family and I love being near my friends. And, if I want to get married or if I'm supposed to get married, won't God just bring someone to me who lives in my community, or can't He just bring someone to me who lives in my community? That's a really great question. But I had a few thoughts for her that I hope would broaden her perspective, and I hope they'll do the same for you. If you kind of are in this place where you say, no, I don't want to move, I am where I am. And before I go on, I just want to say I get it, because there was a time in my single life when I lived in Colorado. I'm back in Colorado now, but I lived in Colorado. I loved it there, and I did not want to move. And so when I was online dating, I didn't really open up my options, and I wasn't interested in even communicating with someone who lived further away, outside of the state or not close enough within an hour or two of a drive. So that said, there were 4 things that I communicated to this woman. And one of the things I said to her was, first, to consider that when you're married, that your husband comes first. So it's not your family, it's not your friend, your husband comes first. And this idea that she has about living near her family and friends, although that's totally awesome to be near family and friends and to love family and friends, there may come a time in your relationship, if you do get married, let's say something happens, you end up having to move, that you wouldn't be near your family and friends. So my point is that even as a single, it's important to begin to nurture that idea that your mate comes first before your family and friends. The second thought is that, a long time ago, when my grandfather was working, when my father-in-law was working, lots of times people stayed at the same job forever. But that doesn't happen anymore. Now people change jobs, and sometimes frequently. So just because she would meet somebody who lived in her community doesn't mean it would stay that way. At any time, someone's job could change. In fact, my husband and I have moved 3 times now since we've been married in 4 years. And those moves were unexpected. But where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. My husband comes first, and so we do this whole journey thing together. So I think it's important to begin to nurture that idea that I'm going to be flexible, because being married requires flexibility. The third thing that I wanted to ask her is, how important is it for you to get married? Because if you knew that the love of your life or some really wonderful man was going to come into your life, but he lived in Texas and you lived in Pennsylvania, and he was going to make you laugh, and that with him you would be able to build a life together, and that you would experience blessings that you haven't ever had before because you were more flexible, wouldn't you want to be more open? So again, I just encourage you, if this is you and you're going, I'm not going to be open, to consider that. The fourth thing is that this is something that happens to a lot of singles, and I did this too, is that lots of times we get too far ahead of ourselves in the dating process. And what I mean is that we start thinking, well, I can't date anybody long distance because I don't have the money for plane tickets, or my job's not flexible, or something else. We start thinking about all the obstacles that could be ahead of us. But we never know how the things might work out for us, that those obstacles would be cleared for us as we put our toe in the water, so to speak. For example, when my husband and I were seeing each other, it ended up that I was living in Atlanta, and it's ironic because I ended up moving out of Colorado as a single. But I lived in Atlanta and he lived in Colorado, and it just so happened to work out that he came through my community often because of work. Now, when we started communicating, that wasn't the case. That just worked out. So what I'm saying is you just never know how these things might work out. So be open. And being open, well, it can't hurt, right? It's a good thing. And if you're open, it means that you could really experience a huge blessing in your life. All right. So I hope those things have helped, especially for you if you're saying, no way, no long distance dating. And one last thing I want to address is that sometimes people say, it takes time to get to know somebody. You have to live near them. But there are people all the time who develop long distance relationships and have healthy relationships and get to know someone and are able to develop a very trustworthy, loving relationship with that person. It is possible. I don't think it's so much about the distance as it is about having the discernment and going through the proper steps that you need to take so that you can have a healthy relationship. I know lots of people who've dated long distance, including myself, so it can really work out. All right, that's it. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. And remember that you rock. You really do. Bye-bye.